The downtown committee meeting of Tuesday, May 7th, 2024 is in order at 8:02 a.m. I have to read this. Recently, regional and local elected and appointed bodies have been subjected to disruptive, racist, verbal attacks by anonymous callers during virtual public comments. The city of Mountain View is fully committed to racial, religious, and cultural equity and justice as we strive to create a welcoming, safe, and inclusive community for all. This advisory body / commission welcomes respectful and non-threatening public comments regarding matters over which the advisory body commission has jurisdiction. Comments deemed otherwise pursuant to the council code of conduct and the government code may be ground for immediately terminating a speaker's comment period. Good morning, everyone. Okay. We get the roll call, please?
Yes, okay, committee member Baird is excused, committee member Kavanaugh. Katz,
Here.
Keith is absent and excused, Lynn,
Here.
Singh. Here, Yen is absent and excused, Chair Shake,
Here.
Vice Chair Kasperzak.
Here.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Item 3, approve the minutes. The minutes for the April 2nd, 2024 meeting have been delivered to committee members and copies posted on the City Hall bulletin board. If there are no corrections or additions, a motion is in order to approve the minutes.
Don't move it up. You go first. I'll second.
Peter made a motion and Mike second. Any discussion, any comments? No. Any public comments? Nobody online? Great, so can we take a vote? Roll call, please.
I'd just say all those in favor.
Yeah, we're all, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pass, motion passed unanimously. Motion made by Katz and seconded by Kasperzak. Thank you. Item 4, upcoming agenda topic. This portion of the agenda is reserved for the identification of agenda items for future meetings. Anybody has any big topics or?
Were you gonna put the sort of list of upcoming items, sort of attach that, or was that just good, like a working?
I certainly can, you know, we have sort of our running list, if that would be
Right,
helpful,
yeah.
I can definitely include it in
That
future
way we
agenda
sort of
topics.
know what's,
What's been already been said, sure,
I think that would be helpful, but sort of
yeah.
up to you guys.
Yeah, I think we can definitely do that with just sort of the reminder that we can't discuss any of those items. I'll make a note here to include sort of things that are on the horizon.
I've been thinking about this couple of days after I read the economic vitality strategy approved, so I'm thinking about, but I don't know if probably I myself don't know if it's here or maybe when we talk about the work plan later. It's that a topic we wanted to bring more people in downtown. And I've been thinking about that. I have been attending quite a few of those musical programs schools have, for their music classes. And especially in summer, a lot of them. And you go there and then parents go there, friends goes there. So I thought that it could we, I mean, just to make it downtown lively, could we invite them here in downtown? And so
Oh, like outreach to schools, is that
And
what?
then maybe instead of having that presentation up in the school, have it somewhere, maybe third block of Castro, maybe today, everybody comes in and use our businesses, you know.
So just to clarify, you'd like to have a downtown commission meeting, invite schools to attend that or to attend an event in the downtown?
Or to perform. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, to perform, but I
Oh,
mean.
to
yeah.
perform.
So
Okay.
at least look into that, you know, so. for future.
Okay.
The recreation division.
Yeah, or something, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just wanted to put it out there, so. Thank you. Any other? Opinion? Any input from the public? Nobody in line? Great. Thank you. So moving on, to the oral communication from the public. The portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the committee on any matter not on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. State law prohibits the committee from acting on non-agenda item.
No raised hands.
Nobody online. So, thank you. Moving on, unfinished business, item 6.1. Like the downtown committee update, May 2024.
Morning, everyone. So just a few updates from planning on for downtown development updates. So the first item, just a quick update on, is for 756 California Street. It was a previously approved 3-story office building with ground floor medical offices approved back in 2022. They're just filing for a permit extension for this project, and it's tentatively scheduled for June 12, 2024. So from my recollection, nothing is really changing. It's just the permit extension for this project. And then the next update is for 236 Castro Street. It's a small addition to an existing storefront for the Mervins. Previously, it was a Mervins there, and so it's just a small addition to the alcove area, just the facade upgrade for that. That was approved on April 24th, 2024, yes.
I was wondering, could you call out the item number first? So we can-
Oh, yeah, so the previous one was item number 8 on the development updates. And then this one is item number 15. 236 Castro Street. So there's no use proposed yet, but it's just a facade update to the J15 store. And a small addition to the front for about 50 square foot addition. for that.
So are they gonna move like the framing and the glass out towards the street a little bit? Is that?
Yeah, so the alcoves will be pushed out a little bit more. And I believe from my recollection of the plans is that it'll be about like more flush with the existing building area. But it's just a small addition to the overall facade.
They don't have an outdoor permit, right? I mean, they're not also using the parklet, are they?
No, so currently there's no use in that space. Yeah. Okay, and then the last update is for item number 18 for 382, 384 Castro Street. So that's for a provisional use permit for office use at the ground floor level. And then on top of this permit, there will also be a construction or a permit for construction of a new trash enclosure. And that permit is currently under review. So it's just in addition to the provisional use permit for office use, there will also be a trash enclosure in the rear portion of the property. So that is overall the updates for.
Do you have an estimate as to when that will be processed and?
In terms of for like the project.
Right.
I'm not sure. I know the permits are still under review right now. So I can definitely reach out to the project planner and see, what their timing is on that for that. Yeah. Great. Thank you. Any other questions?
Any questions from the member public?
No hands raised.
No, no hand raised. Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
No problem, thank you.
Okay. So, moving to the number 6.2, Castro Streets update. Staff will provide a verbal update on current efforts and activities related to the Castro Street.
Okay, thank you, Amanda Ortella, Economic Development Strategist. So kind of the big thing out there was that the Economic Vitality Strategy has been passed, which was a huge undertaking. Primarily that boulder was primarily pushed up the hill by John Lang. But wanted to just sort of note sort of the 5 strategies here. There is, as you can see, goal number 2 is specifically related to downtown. So reinvigorate downtown Mountain View as a premier destination for pedestrian scale shopping, dining, and social engagement. And there are a number of strategies and specific tasks related to that. So we can get into a little bit more of that with our work plan discussion, but wanted to all kind of make you aware. John, anything to add?
No, there's a lot of work here. Within the 5 goals, there's 164 action items, so a lot of work ahead. Some with a more immediate implementation versus a longer term. And you'll start to see this reflected in your work plan. And this will kind of permeate different divisions, departments within the city, but very excited for the very collaborative effort to get this over the goal line, and certainly appreciate all the contributions from the community and helping shape this plan. Thank you to the chamber and their involvement and providing input into the plan as well.
Great. As you saw, I had flyers on the table, but downtown Cornhole League is coming to downtown. So our community services department was in search of a new location for this league. And we're really excited that they'll be coming to the 300 block in June. Really see this as another way to activate and potentially bring a new demographic, new group to downtown. My hope is that they will have some dinner, enjoy, patronize our downtown businesses before or after playing cornhole. So flyers there. Would love just help getting the word out.
Amanda, June 12th is the Taste of Mountain View, which will obviously, have lots of people down on the street and all of
Yes.
that. And so if you have some flyers and all of that you'd like us to put out that night, we're happy to do so.
Yeah, that would be great. I think there's the deadline to sign up for cornhole but is May 24th. So it may just be if people want to come watch cornhole.
No, that's what I said. Yeah, this is-
Okay.
There are tons of people playing it just informally every night, every
Yeah.
time I go down there. There's
Yeah.
it's like really
Even during the day.
successful.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. And so we'll be bringing in cornhole boards in addition to what's down there. So there will be additional boards, not taking away from sort of the amateur play that's happening.
And people of all ages. It's like young people and it's really
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, that's actually a great segue into sort of my next note here. So we're.
Amanda, before
Oh,
you,
yeah.
any idea how many people is this a new league or are they just moving it to downtown?
It's an existing league. I believe it's an existing league. And I can't remember, in the email I had, there was an information about the number of teams, but it's 4 players per team. I want to say there's maybe like 12 teams. So we're looking at, potentially 40 plus people down there. But I can get more information about specifically.
And where within the downtown are they playing?
300 block.
But like in the right of way, the public right of way down the street or
Yeah.
like one of the
I think
zones?
since there'll be so many, I think they're going to be taking over sort of the 300 block. And, since there aren't too many outdoor patio areas on that block, they'll kind of be strategic, but I haven't seen the layout, but it'll be concentrated on the 300 block.
And then are there any anticipated, and I have no judgment on this one way or the other, will they be able to consume alcohol as long as they're like sort of within the cordoned area of the downtown?
No. That will not be permitted. Yeah. Yeah,
But they
we,
could probably go out for drinks afterward.
yes, and
They
what,
could in Los Altos, but so.
yeah, I think it would require a sort of special permitting and ABC licensing, and I don't believe that that's part of the scope of this league at the time. Yeah, maybe next year.
Are there any other, well, there's cornhole. Is there anything else surrounding it? So alcohol is one thing, food is another, music, et cetera. I mean, are there any other activities planned besides just the tournament itself?
Nope, just the tournament itself, and then encouraging, participants to take advantage of the existing amenities, but there won't be any other activities or aspects layered on top of it.
Okay, so I mean, it's an opportunity for us to talk to the businesses about, hey, look, you're gonna have all these people downtown playing the
Yeah.
tournament. You know, you might want to encourage them to come in.
Yeah, absolutely, and businesses would be welcome to kind of work off of that and try and grab some of that.
Corn dogs.
There you go.
Okay,
There you go.
perfect.
Corn on the cob.
I'll take that down in the minutes. Gordon.
There's only one set of cornhole set up right now on third block. There'll be more than.
I think there's two,
No, on different block, each block has
one on each block, yeah, and so the community services department team will be bringing in more cornhole. Yeah, because there's gonna be multiple games
Yeah.
going on, and
Exactly.
I think the goal is that each team will play at least 2 games a night, so we're gonna need just a lot. But the CSD will bring cornhole in and take it out with them, so it won't get left overnight.
Question, did anybody saw me playing cornhole? No? That's
We-
great,
we-
that's
we
great.
filmed it. It's on TikTok.
Good, yeah. Oh, TikTok.
So more to come about that, more of this. Oh, yeah, good.
So that's Thursday evening, starting June 13th, until when?
Great question. I don't know the answer. Yeah, I'm sure it's I could look it up, but I think it's it's a set number of weeks. But I don't know how long it'll go. I can find out though. Okay, so on that note, there is more games, more activation happening. Foosball's been added to the downtown. We also started adding these picnic tables with these very cute sort of rigid umbrellas. And those have been sort of strategically placed at some of the intersections. The ones you're looking at are actually right outside of Red Rock. And I took a picture of this gentleman yesterday. He's essentially co-working from the picnic table. He had his laptop and he was, I think, on a call. So really kind of interesting to see all the different ways that people are utilizing the street amenities. But I see people sitting on these almost every time I walk down there. So they're being well used and adding sort of just additional seating. Oh,
One
Question?
question,
Yeah.
so with the foosball and the cornhole, do people kind of respect and take care of the equipment, or is there kind of maintenance and replacement of balls and that kind of thing that the city needs to do?
yeah, we do have our community services department team that's down there every day, and they're kind of keeping an eye on things. They noted that the foosball table actually was on a slight lean, and so they were modifying it to be even. I think we've built in that we know things like the little bean bags are gonna kind of get beaten up, and
Right.
so they're monitoring all of that and doing maintenance and replacement of parts as needed. Yeah.
So I can comment on that, the cornhole beanbags, they could use, I was wondering how they could be torn up, it's about 3 days and then open up and start leaking. And they're, at the same time, there's some of the players are so good, they have custom made it on home, and they bring stack of it and then try. So
You see the beanbag warehouse.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, I think the success of these is dependent on us being able to keep everything in good working order.
Oh, I was just wondering with either kind of like people drinking and out at night and they run into these things, whether they respect them or actually abuse them. But it sounds like they're actually not damaging them, so that's good.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen much damage happen, but certainly that's always a possibility. And yeah,
those things are very strong because I've seen little kids sometimes they just walk on it, so they don't.
Oh, like a ramp, like a
Yeah,
bike ramp.
and certainly, we've invested in sort of hardier
Mhm.
hardier furniture and games, that our hope would be it could kind of withstand the amount of use that we hope that they will get in the downtown.
So here's
Yeah.
a stupid sustainability question. what are the bean bags filled with? Are they plastic pellets? Are they beans? Is it agricultural stuff? I mean, if we're gonna, sounds like we're gonna be going through with those. Might wonder if there are sustainable bean bags.
It's plastic pellets right now.
Seems like we ought to find something that's filled with rice or beans or something.
No, because that's a good question, because I seen some beanbag and then I see those
The
things,
plastic
the grape
pellets all
down
over.
there, and sometimes the little kids come in, how about if they start picking it up and putting them out, so.
If I
Rice
can't
is
get-
better,
If I
you know?
can't get a styrofoam cup, I shouldn't
Yeah.
use plastic bean bags.
Okay, wanted to also kind of provide you with an update. The Visual Arts Committee meets tomorrow evening. And we are bringing forward a Ballard interim art project. So on the downtown, there are 32 bollards. And you can see sort of the locations based on the little circles. And so these bollards have been placed obviously to protect the pedestrian mall from vehicular traffic. Each intersection has 12 bollards. And so you're looking at one side of the intersection, and the plan is to paint the 4 bollards sort of on the street facing side of the fence, a solid color to match the decorative street treatment that will be applied to the downtown, applied to the pedestrian mall. And then proposing having public art at the bollards on the inside of the fence. So encouraging people to look at the art and not have to go out into traffic. Just as an update, we did do a test paint last week. So you can kind of get a sense of what the solid color bollards will look like. And then the balls actually on the inside of the fence will be the ones with art, but we're proposing to have 12. We've identified 12 bollards for art, 6 artists. So we would ask for proposals where artists have a concept that include 2 bollards. So they would do, kind of the pair bollards together. And that will go to the VAC for review and input on that call for art. And our goal would be to get the art installed later this summer. So going to be very exciting to see that happening.
I saw this, they look very nice, the color, the bollard, but also one other thing I noticed at night, if you are late, you see the car pass by, you see one lit up and then the other one, then the other one, and it's kind of pretty interesting.
The bollards
The
themselves,
bollards
yeah.
themselves.
Yeah, and I believe we're still, we're testing out a matte finish, a shine finish, and so kind of determining what the best application will be there. But this was sort of our test paint, so to get a sense of the colors. Yeah.
Amanda, have you and Recreation maybe thought about, especially, I don't know how long it's gonna take artists to paint the public art spheres. I imagine there'll be at least one globe. But I'm wondering if there might be an event like an art day, like, sort of like sidewalk painting days, but like if these artists think they could get these done in a day, has anybody thought about, like paint the bollard day?
Yeah, so we've identified a week where the art would need to be installed, and would include that in the call for artists. We're still determining timeline, but we would kind of identify a set week. And so certainly that would be an opportunity, if we wanted to get the Downtown Business Association or Chamber to do some programming,
Right.
yeah, probably not to participate, but they could
Right,
certainly
right,
watch the
definitely.
artists, watch
Although
the
there
art being
might be one
installed.
artist that has a community engagement, but anyways, but it might be kind of interesting to have like some planning around that weekend, is come down and watch and.
Yeah,
blah, blah.
absolutely.
But when they were painting the utility boxes right here, and I was working with some of the artists, and at the end, they let you do a little bit of this. I still remember that. Oh, I did that one. So
Yeah, I think there's definitely some opportunity to do some programming around it. And if you're an artist or know of artists, this is going to be kind of we're hoping to be really do a broad call and get a whole, diverse number of artists that are participating. So we'll kind of let you know and ask for your help, sort of amplifying this call for art. And if you yourself are an artist, this could be a fun project to consider. It's sort of a smaller scale, like the utility art boxes. And so maybe more accessible as a project.
Amanda, 2 things. One is there a timeline for the painting of the street to coincide with this?
I will have to tag in Aruna.
Sure, thank you. Aruna Bhavina, Transportation Planner. We are aiming this year, late summer, early fall. We just have to go through the contracting process to get there, but yeah. Fingers crossed. Thank you.
Thank you, Aruna.
And then the second thing is that, I don't know if it was last meeting or the meeting before, but we had, I'm blanking on her name, Anita Hanson, talking about her project and how she wanted to have polyforms painted or whatever kind of thing. And I'm wondering if the two bollards there on one of the streets or whatever might be an example of what those look like to get people excited about, you know, being a part of that project.
Yeah, we can certainly make her aware. I mean, this call for art is, you know, it's moving forward quickly and we'll go to the VAC. So, but certainly if that's something that the VAC wanted to add and a layer, that's something staff could explore. Yeah. Okay. I think that's, oh, and then my last note here is events in the downtown continue. Music on Castro is still happening on the 200 block. Music on the Plaza starts next month. And then Kidstock is coming up here pretty quickly this month as well.
We had the cultural festival.
That took place last
Yeah,
week, yes.
It was very well attended.
Yes. So thank you. That's all that I have.
Any more questions?
Well, there's another little event happening on the 7th or the 19th, isn't it? And the-
19th,
the
yeah.
Parade, yeah.
Great.
Yes.
Pardon, creating.
Fire truck.
And so I saw the Boulder thing, but one comment I want to make is that I mean, I frequented night later on till 10:30, 11 o'clock. I saw that there were a lot of, I mean, whole day, some trash accumulates. But I walked in this morning, it's all clean, you know, so it's really well maintained. You know, so that one. And then about that economic vitality study document, you know, when I was reading it, I read a few times. Look at it, it's very impressive. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, John, for that. And then the beauty was that I noticed that you read it and then and I said, oh, this should be edited, but I kept reading it. So, oh, it's there. So it's pretty detailed document. Thank you again. Is any questions or comments from the member of public? Nobody online? Great.
One last thing, Amanda, will you let us know what VAC does and like send us the application or whatever is?
Yeah, absolutely. I will definitely share the
Will
call.
they go to like
call for art.
organizations like CSMA in case they want to do something, or is it really going to go to individual artists? Or I think it would be good to send it to like Community School of Music and Arts or any
Or even
organization.
any of the schools too.
What?
Any of the schools, really.
Well, right, yeah.
So traditionally, the call for artists that are done, we have a sign up list that's been curated over several years. There's over 1,500 people that get it. These are traditionally artists within the Bay Area. We asked the VAC to also go put it through their channels. We are going to look to expand this particular call and work with SV Creates and some of the other nonprofit arts organizations to also make sure they're aware of the opportunity. So the more people we can broadcast it out to, certainly the better. Certainly appreciate the recommendation.
Is the Visual Arts Committee vision that an artist will do all of the public art balls, or that there, it would be like one ball per artist?
So 6 artists, 2 balls each.
Okay.
Yes. That's what staff's proposing. I mean, the VAC could take it in a different direction. Okay. Thank you.
Great. So we'll move on to the item 7, the new business. Item 7.1, Mountain View Mediators Program. Staff will provide an overview of the program, the resources that may be helpful to the business community. We have
Maria Jimenez.
Maria Jimenez from, welcome, thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank you for the opportunity to invite us. We're from the Mountain View Mediation Program. I'm Maria Jimenez, and then Gio Kopikin is one of the volunteer mediators, and Jamil's also an emeritus volunteer mediator. So I'm from Project Sentinel, and we're a nonprofit organization that provides counseling for tenants and landlords and offer mediation as part of the service that we have under contract with City of Mountain View. And I am here to provide basically an overview of what we do and how the business community can benefit from our services we offer.
We have the experienced media on the committee also. My guest was that for them.
Wow, okay. Thank you. Yes, so this started as a pilot program for the City of Mountain View. Initially, the staff had to handle rental issues between tenants and landlords. So in 1975, they did this as a pilot program before the calls would go to court enforcement or other departments within the City of Mountain View. So that's what the initiations of the program. So it was it's a pilot program and it worked really good. So then in 1988, it expanded to handle neighborhood disputes such as neighbor to neighbor. It would be homeowner associations, anything that had to do with the neighborhoods in an effort to preserve aging neighborhoods. This came about. So then in 1992, it expanded to involve consumer, workplace, and person-to-person issues. And it basically took away from this going to courts. So it basically alleviated the courts and also the burden on the city. And going into the milestones, well, since its inception, we've handled 35,000 calls and 9,000 cases. Every year, we've responded to approximately 450 requests and typically open 225 cases to dispute resolution. And next year will be the 50th anniversary of the start of the program. And what is mediation? Mediation is a program that helps people come together, have conversation, and potentially resolve the disputes in a controlled environment. We allow 3-hour time frame, but certainly, basically, if they don't resolve, we can always have another follow-up. But typically, it does resolve, and unless that amount of time, we allow it just for them to have the convenience of. And as possible solutions arise, the trained mediators, they help guide the conversation towards resolution. It's of their own making, whatever works for them. And basically they have input as to the outcome versus the court. One person, your evidence, decide one person wins, one person loses. Here is more like, let's work together, let's resolve as we see appropriate that will work for us. Who can we help? I basically focus this for business as to the type of disputes that I felt would be pertain to the business community. So disputes with local merchants regarding purchase product or service. Consultant claims a business owes additional fees, basically for work performed. They didn't quite feel that the consultant delivered to their expectations. So rather than going to the court, it's a good place. Commercial lease disputes, neighbor to neighbor disputes, whether it be residential or commercial, as you have a commercial neighbor, basically a business next to you. Rent or security deposit issues between tenants and landlords. This is the bulk of that I see, but we also want to bring out awareness for the business community and then conflict between co-workers. So in essence, any community-based type of mediation is what we can handle. And then Jill, if you want to share some of your that we've handled.
Thanks, Maria. Yeah, so I just want to add a couple of things onto what Maria said. I work with the courts also. I run the federal courts alternative dispute resolution program for the Northern District of California. And I just want to underscore how important mediation at a community level is in that avoiding the court system is always a better option. In the federal courts, something like 0.7 cases actually go to trial. So all cases pretty much settle, but whether they do it with a lot of expense and a lot of frustration, most of them do. So if we can get them to them before they get here into the courts, that's fantastic. Another thing about the community mediation or any form of mediation is that parties can agree to all kinds of things that they can't get from the courts. The court system is a very blunt instrument. You have certain legal rights and remedies, but in mediation, as long as it's not illegal, people can pretty much agree to do anything. So they might agree to share if it's a business to business and they're having a dispute about a parking space. They might have, or parking lot. They might agree, well, I'll use it during these hours and you'll use it during those hours. That's something a court can't give them, but they can agree to it. And a lot of times there are compromises that involve somebody giving nothing that harms them and the other side giving nothing that harms them. It's a win-win as opposed to a win-lose situation. So I'm a big advocate for mediation, obviously, but those are some reasons. There's another factors that important to know is that it's completely confidential. So the people come in, they have an agreement that they won't talk about what was discussed there. So I am going to talk a little bit about a couple of the cases we handled, but bear in mind that there is that confidentiality requirement. So I'm not going to give you too much information because that would breach somebody's confidences. But so I can think of, there are two cases that we decided I would talk about. One was two businesses had their businesses that have sort of an inconsistent population needs. And so you could think of some special populations, and I won't tell you which it is, but it could be a childcare or an adult, an aging facility or something like that, with, some other like a health or fitness or a bar or something like that. So where you have kind of inconsistent needs. And there was one dispute that was really contentious, and the parties looked like they were headed towards dispute in the courts, and our mediators were able to sit with them, and they had a very conflict-laden conversation. But as we've seen in our society right now, people have forgotten how to have conflict. Conflict isn't bad necessarily, as long as it's well tended, right? So having the conflict in a safe environment allowed them to air all their frustrations. They were able to make some of those kinds of agreements about things like parking lot, how they would respect, signage and things about how they would respect each other's needs and how they wouldn't, make certain noises in a way that affected one population versus the other. And in that case, the parties ended up resolving. And I would say that, our mediators come in and think, these people are so angry, there's no way there's a resolution. And yet somehow they find one. And it's a very amazing process to see the transformation through the conflict. I handled another case that involved a business provider that had worked with a vehicle and provided a certain, service for somebody repair work. And so it was an individual versus a small business. And there was a dispute about the integrity of the work. And, they came in, and I thought, that there was no way this case would settle, and it would be in small claims court for certain. And yet, they came in and within 20 minutes, they were talking about a solution about, well, what can we do? What can I give you? Okay, I'll give you this discount, or I'll be able to repair that, and let me take another chance. And, otherwise it could have been, Yelp and lawsuit and all these other things. So those are just two examples of the kinds of disputes. But we really encourage the businesses in the area to start looking at the option as a viable one. So if there's any way that you all can help get the word out, we have a lot of really trained mediators who will help them. And I can say from my experience, and I've done a number of different trainings, the training in Mountain View is really very, very good. And the mediators are very, very good. And they're mostly not lawyers, which is a little different than in the court system. And actually, I think it's actually a real asset. They don't feel quite as constrained to look at the legal issues. Instead, they help the people talk about the things that you can't get from a court, which is always better. So strong advocate here, and let us know if there are ways that we can help get the word out or support you in doing that.
I'll go ahead and ask a question that I know the answer to, having been a mediator, having been in the federal court mediation program, and I totally agree, because lawyers just can't help but get back into settlement conference mode. But so for somebody that's got a commercial dispute and they're trying to figure out what to do, their first inclination is probably going to be either let it go or call their lawyer. What's the best way for somebody who really might have heard of mediation or has an issue, to move it along, should they call the other person, say, should we go mediate, or do you guys do the case? I know you guys do the case development, but.
Yeah, they just call us. They're a little bit more, but I can,
Okay, okay.
I can move forward because that was, I can just share. So who can we help? Is basically people come together and it's an informal process, open, honest dialogue. So you're basically look for a solution and you don't need to think about what the legal, it's basically more like, how can we resolve? And that's your mindset of, I want A, so persons wants B, and they're never gonna match up, but just basically working to what is it that I'm okay with? And it increases their understanding by having conversation, you know, that you learn something in the process of, oh, I see why this person is, you know, so set on X. And it's basically a way to, it's important to be able to understand, and that's the only way that you know what the needs are of each individual. And basically they get to a mutual agreement. Now, to answer your questions, we go to the next slide and it shows the process. So the person that's interested in mediation contacts me. I'm the case manager. I then assign it to a mediator, and it's the mediator that does the case development, talks to party one, talks to party two. Party one is already on board because that's the one that called us. Party two is, you know, look, this are the benefits for you. Basically, I know it's weighing on both of your shoulders. You know, once you resolve, it's just behind you. So, but then after the mediator does case development, then they basically arrange for dates and times that works for both sides. We tell them, we allow 3 hours. If you settle within 20 minutes of your time is what it will take. But we allow that for people have to have that time for themselves. It's basically your time. And so once they get a date and time, they send it to me, and then I just make the arrangements. If it's in person or it's via Zoom, I take care of all that paperwork of confirming for everyone. If it's via Zoom, I get the signed form of their consent to the mediation, that they cannot share this information outside of mediation. Yeah, so that's basically how we coordinate, and we can go to the next slide. So what are the benefits of mediation? It's voluntary, confidential, it's free, it's faster than the courts, a lot faster than the courts. Preserves relationships. Basically, it's a neutral mediator. Basically, they're there to facilitate, to help the conversation. Avoids expense, time, and unknown outcome of court. Helps parties discuss and resolve issues, and encourages creative solutions. Because again, it's not what I think, it's what works for both of you. And both parties decide on the outcome. And a mediated agreement can be enforceable by agreement, because it's in the structuring of the agreement that you can show it if you want to be able to show it to court. That's basically what, if A doesn't follow through with whatever we agree to, then I can show it to court. It gives you that ability. So it is enforceable. Ideally, it's just to help the conversation. And we had situations where if they don't resolve there, we know it starts a conversation. So sometimes if even they do not get to an agreement, they basically see a way forward. But normally they do resolve, I'd say 80–85% of cases that come to mediation to resolve. And then that's how you can contact them.
I add something to the benefits of mediation.
Absolutely.
Not there, which I experienced many times, and it's amazing feeling I can't describe in detail. Once you go and help a party mediate, we've been at odds for a long time, and then they come to an agreement, and then you walk out of there, and then you just walk light, you know, it's just all day. It's a very good feeling, you know, on mediators too. Yourself. And yes, please.
So Maria, I've seen the lovely work that you do with two businesses, you know, who might be, you know, it's like you may be playing music too loud, or, you know, we want to use your sidewalk or whatever kind of thing. Do you also mediate landlord and tenant disputes?
That's the focus of, because me as a case manager, I educate them on their rights and responsibilities, and then also explore options with them. So, you know, this is what's there for you, but in an ideal world, what would you like to happen? And then based on that, you know, these are the various things that are available to you, and just help them through the process.
Right. And then the other part of that question is, if there's a legal barrier Like, for example, maybe the restaurant says, but I want my stove over here, but legally because of, rules and regulations or whatever, they can't. Do you advise them on that or tell them where they can get that information? Because there are things that the landlord just can't do because it would violate a California law or a state law or something like that.
Yes, so I've not had a situation, however, if there's legal issues, I would basically say you might want to see, if you're getting pushback from the landlord, you might want to ask them why. Because it could be something that's legally, so if it's something legal, and also when it comes to legal, we don't give legal advice. We just say, this is what the law says, but if you feel you need to advice, then speak to an attorney because he can tell you what to do. I can't tell you what to do.
Right, but you can point out that this is a legal issue,
Yes.
it's not something that your landlord is just holding over you kind of thing.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
if I can jump in, so
Go
I
ahead.
actually mediated a case through a program like that and where there was an individual who'd moved into an apartment building and at the end of the day felt like the apartment was really unsuitable for them. They had a small child and they moved into an apartment that had carpeting in a dining area and it got all, the carpeting got destroyed.
Yeah.
And they said to the landlord, you should have advised me that this was inappropriate. And during the course of the mediation, the landlord said, I completely agree with you. I would love to be able to steer you in that direction. First of all, the Fair Housing Act, I am prohibited by law from telling you that an apartment is not suitable for you because of your family status. So I would be violating the law by doing that. But I hear you, I understand, and I'm so sorry. What can we do now? And the tenant, they resolved with just that apology. Because the tenant really just wanted somebody to hear that this was inappropriate for me and it caused me harm. And, the apology was amazing. And so that's the kind of thing. So yes, we handle that kind of thing and people, often the landlord would know that they don't have that right to do it. And we're not giving out the legal advice, but sometimes that can be, the communication of that can be a really impactful thing.
Well, thank you for that, because I think that a lot of our businesses, come up against things where they just don't know that it's a legal barrier.
Yeah.
They just think that somebody's telling them that they don't want to do something. So understanding where the differences are is very, very important. Thank you.
To add to that, so I was focusing more on business, but the bulk of is tenant landlord issues. So I do educate them on their rights and responsibilities and also basically what constitutes a habitable home. And we, offer mediation. That's basically, you can have this conversation and look for a way forward to this. But yes, that's part of what we do. And if they feel they need an attorney, then yes, consult an attorney and go in with the knowledge of what's all available to you so you can make the best decision for yourself.
And since we run the Chamber of Commerce, that's business was really the
Yeah.
focus of the question. So thank you for staying on that too.
Great question. Mike?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and we had it, it's free, going through the Mountain View mediation program, for businesses, if you're gonna get, I'm always amazed that more businesses don't really do mediation first before suing the hell out of each other, spending a whole lot of money because they're gonna end up in mediation or a settlement conference. And at that point, you're gonna pay $500 an hour to $10,000, $15,000 a day for the mediators, let alone all the lawyers. So you might as well do it for free and take a shot at it. if
And
it
get a
doesn't
better
work
result
out,
most
You
of
can
the
still
time,
sue
yeah.
the heck out of each other.
Yeah. Thank you,
Right.
Mike. That's very cool.
And we've had mediations where attorney is present, but they're not part of the mediation. They're just there for support on that. But ideally, because once people start talking and understanding each other's side, it basically says, well, I appreciate why you can't do it. At least I understand now.
Right.
It's not that you're just are setting your heels
Thought you
on.
were trying to get me. It's like,
Yes, and sometimes it's just an apology. It's not getting something, just an apology. Does it for some people.
Yeah, just to add, that if somebody is really so inclined to contact and say they want to be mediator, there is,
I can help you out.
yeah,
So
that-
we typically recruit like in January, February for the following year, depend upon the needs of the Mountain View Mediate. It's a volunteer mediation program, and basically the service is free for either you live own a business or have some sort of tie to Mountain View. And also the mediators are pulled from the community. So it's volunteer mediators within the community. And again, the same sort of tie. Either you live, work, or own business in Mountain View.
So initially, you were saying that they get trained, they get the training first, and
Mhm.
we have monthly meeting, and then ongoing training. We always have something going on, and we're learning from each other
Yes,
also.
absolutely. Basically to keep learning, it's important to keep up with trainings. And then we have like in March, either February or March, we have the combined meetings because we also we administer Palo Alto and Mountain View. And then we have a general panel. So basically everyone comes together for training as just to see each other as mediators.
Great. Last question is there any plans for mediation, Mountain View mediators to use AI?
At this point, we're looking into it. Well, one thing that came from the COVID situation is before it was all in person. Now it's a hybrid. Basically, we do in-person mediations, but also Zoom. This comes ideal for like people that move away with their security deposit or people that basically says, I don't want to see, I want to be next to this person, but at least it's a different type of interaction. So yes,
Great. Great. Any comments or questions from the member of public? Seeing none, and anybody online? No? So, great.
okay.
Thank you very much.
Amazing work you do.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Maria. Thank you, Yael.
Thank you.
That
Thank
was
you for having
great.
us
Thank you.
here and yes.
Chair Shake, we have just one development update just to supplement item 6.1. Interject, just pop back there and allow Diana Petroli to just present very quickly.
Hi, good morning, Chair and Committee,
morning.
Diana Pancholi, Acting Advanced Planning Manager with the city's planning division. So Meredith's gonna show something. I really quickly wanted to show you in your feature we have. This is our development projects page under, if you go to City Planning Review website under planning, development projects. This is where we have all our major projects listed and it shows, the project description, where the project is, the public meetings that have happened here. There are various stages of a project. Some are under review, some are approved, some are under building construction. So we added this new feature, which actually shows you the status of where the project stands right now. And it is for all the development projects that we have listed on our project web pages here. This does not consist of every project listed under the development update that the planning division publishes. But the major projects, which have either DA or an environmental review associated with that, like a higher level, like an EIR or something, that has been listed on our web pages here. And so you can actually follow the status to know where it is.
That is amazing. That is so
Yeah, because
cool.
we get so many questions from everybody on just, where is it? Do they have a building permit? Is it approved?
Diana, this is amazing. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's a great
This is
idea.
great.
Scroll back, can you scroll back to the top? So we can, or we click, okay.
Yeah, so this is just an example.
That's an old
Amanda just
project.
pulled on
No, I
what
know.
project. This is under review right now, so. This also has our Builders Remedy projects. We have 5 of them, so I know a lot of people are curious about what's going on with those. So they are also listed in here.
I have a quick question. It seems like, a lot of the projects end up with a permit extension. Where would it fall then in that scenario along the process?
It's being approved, awaiting for a building plan check or building permits under review.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the original entitlement is, they will still have some kind of a building permit going on,
I see,
review
okay.
going on,
Got it.
in order for us to make some findings for extension.
Okay, I
Yes,
understand.
to show their
Thank you.
commitment. Okay, and if anybody has any questions on any pages.
Could you send the committee that link,
Sure, yeah, we can do that. And just a quick update, I know the downtown precise plan comprehensive update. We are gonna go to the city council for the consultant agreement approval. And that was scheduled for April 23rd to go with Moffett Boulevard Precise Plan. It had to be scheduled out. So now it's tentatively scheduled for May 28th council meeting. And it will be a consent item. Okay, that's it.
So any member public, any questions on that? No. No? Well, that was worth waiting, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. So moving forward to where we are.
7.2, and I have an amendment to this as well. So we aren't quite ready to bring the crime stats report forward, but we do have Lieutenant Kroll here to provide us with just some overview information about crime and safety in the downtown.
Great. So I don't have to read that thing anymore, no?
Nope.
Thank
You're
you
off the
very
hook.
much. You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Evan Crowell with the Police Department. I'm a lieutenant. I oversee, along with some patrol teams, I oversee our Neighborhood and Event Services Unit, which deals with RVs in town and our unhoused population. And I also run our school resource officer program. So I deal with all the schools, along with a few other things, but I won't mention everything. So I just want to give a quick update on downtown and some of the crime issues, things that have been happening that I'm sure most of you are probably aware of, and then obviously answer any questions. Two things we've really been working on this year. I'm trying to be more proactive with what we do as opposed to reactive. Everyone's aware of the auto burglary situation that happens downtown. It's been going on for years now, not just specific to Mountain View, it's everywhere in the Bay Area. But we started two things basically on a consistent basis. One is we call it our ambassador program, where some of you may be familiar with that. We use a lot of our professional staff and our community service officers, where they are actually downtown on foot in the parking lots, greeting people as they come in, letting them know about general information about downtown, but also letting them know about ways they can prevent being a victim themselves, specifically to auto burglaries. So taking their stuff with them, where to park. They concentrate a lot on the city lots, ones that usually get targeted a lot in terms of auto burglaries. So that's been consistent going on for the entire year. And also we have just overtime that we do for downtown patrol, which is uniformed officers, almost on a nightly basis. And that's more just getting out, looking, responding to things that happen, doing proactive checks at the library, downtown businesses, walking around on foot. And I know that's one thing we're trying to stress is just to get out and talk to business owners, walk downtown, more visible presence downtown, because obviously we can't just drive through on Castro Street anymore, but get out on foot, talk to people, talk to business owners. What are your concerns? What can we help with? Anything that I can help you with right now? Small issues, small issues, not small issues to businesses, but little things like graffiti and trash, or if there's somebody causing a disturbance over here, or, hey, I saw something over here. Those are just things that we like to know. And a lot of times those go unreported. So if we can get that information, so that's part of it as well, just concentrating really on issues downtown. And one stat I will provide is that auto burglary specific to downtown, this is just the downtown area, for 2023, year to date from January 1 to May 1, there was 88 auto burglaries in downtown, just the downtown area this year. Year to date from January 1 to May 1, there's only 43 reported. So we decreased over 50%, close to 51% of auto burglaries downtown, which is huge. And there could be other factors obviously involved with that, but we do attribute that a lot to the information that we're getting out there and just a presence. Because a lot of times we might not know if somebody's driving through Mountain View intending on targeting downtown. If they see a uniformed officer, if they see someone, even professional staff with a Mountain View patch on or something, that's a deterrent, and they'll leave. And that's our goal, is to, we know we can't stop every one of them, and that's not realistic, but a 51% decrease from 23 to 24 in the same time frame is pretty huge. So we know some of that has to do with efforts we're doing to try to educate people. Don't leave your stuff in your car. Don't even hide it. Just take it with you. It's not worth it, because people who are doing this, they know that, they could, if they look under a seat, things like that. So if they are going to target your car, I'd much rather have just a window smashed as opposed to laptops, electronics, personal items taken. So that's pretty awesome.
Tom Bice, I think, is the downtown ambassador.
So again, the more foot patrols, basically a bigger presence we can have downtown, we know is gonna make a difference. So we're really trying to be proactive about that and not be reactive. There are gonna be spikes. Everybody knows the holiday season. That's just gonna happen and, but whatever we can do to prevent it. And then we're really focusing on issues like the library, make sure that's, we have people checking that. Any problem areas that are identified, we really try to make sure those are less of an issue. So that's just kind of a general overview. I do keep track and kind of try to keep my pulse on things that are happening in downtown. So the auto burglaries have kind of consistently been the big one, as opposed, also with nightlife on the weekends. And I know that's issues as well, but that's kind of the general updates that I have, and happy to answer any questions.
Do the burglaries normally happen during the day or at nighttime?
Most time in the evening, because darkness is what they want to kind of go undetected. So definitely it's happening more in the evening, which is where we kind of cater our patrol and our efforts.
Yeah.
Is the late afternoon into the basically when people are showing up for dinner to get out of their cars, go to dinner. They know they're going to be gone for several, a couple hours. So usually, if I had to guess, give you a time frame, probably 7 p.m. to 9 is probably a good.
Different cities like Oakland is like 24/7.
Yeah, there's
Same thing.
yeah.
So
So we're lucky we don't have kind of the brazen middle of the daylight, middle of the day ones that happen. I mean, they do every so often, but that's not the norm.
That's not the one. Great, good stuff.
I've got a question in that, there was talk, over the last year or so, really, about cameras, license plate cameras and all. Is that program going forward at all or not?
Yeah, we just presented to the Public Safety Advisory Board earlier this month, and that proposal is going to council this month
Okay, great.
for that camera system.
Excellent. And then you mentioned, car theft. Obviously, big issue. And yes, we've seen the stats too, and the businesses are reporting too, that they're very happy to see that they're hearing less of that happening. And I think it's all of Jamil's work as ambassador.
Agreed.
But the other thing that keeps coming up in terms of crime is petty theft.
Yeah.
The stores all the merchants are saying, and not just the merchants, the restaurants too, they'll are getting that. I know that that's again, not a Mountain View centric problem. It's everywhere. Are there some specific things that we're doing along those lines?
That would be more toward just our foot patrols and presence,
Okay.
and just as a deterrent, right? If there's a consistent problem, then obviously we want to know that information. And we'll make sure that we have people specific to that area at that time. If there's a repeat offender or something going on, obviously maybe something like CVS downtown. I know that's usually a
That's a big one.
target, yeah. So yeah, specific problems, obviously we'll deal with those on a case by case basis, but anything in general, we just try to be a presence. Because that's when you're talking about on Castro walking, since we can't drive down anymore, that's just gonna be really people walking, uniformed officers walking around and making sure, and us getting the information, honestly. And that's what I, always want to preach to the downtown businesses is, I know it may seem like a minor deal, but we might have more information and there might be a lot more we can do. So we want to know, as small as you think it might be, just let us know, report it, whether it's online, whether call a non-emergency number, whatever the case may be, just get us that information so we can handle it appropriately.
Yeah, we've actually been talking to a few of the officers about the WhatsApp. A lot of the businesses are all on a WhatsApp,
Yeah.
so they.
Yeah, and you guys communicating is great.
Let the police
Yeah.
department know that,
Yeah.
somebody's on the prowl kind of thing.
Yeah.
The other thing that they mentioned too is regular officers on a beat. So, it's good news, bad news that we have with Pedmo, right? Is that, the good news is that there's more foot patrol, which is more conducive to getting to know the businesses and them to get to know you and things like that. But they were saying that there was a period of time where it just seemed like every week there was a different officer on the beat and they really couldn't get to know their beat officer kind of thing. Are there plans to change that at all, or?
Yeah, obviously we have this specific beat structure for the city, right? And the downtown area falls within one of those beat structures, which is normally one officer on their shift is assigned to that beat area. So yes, in the sense of it usually is the same officer. But in terms of them being able to get out, just all depends on the daily activity of what's going on. And obviously if they're gone, whatever. But yeah, ideally that'd be great to have that one-on-one relationships, so they know, it's kind of the traditional, like, I know, Officer so-and-so by name and first name of businesses, that's a goal.
Yeah.
And just by having more people downtown and doing that foot traffic, that's definitely what we're trying to accomplish.
Hooker.
Mike?
Going back to the license plate readers for a second, if you know, and this might have been a policy thing way up, but I thought license plate readers came up 5 to 10 years ago, like around the Bay Area, and almost everybody said, nah, we're not going to do them. What's changed?
Yeah, I won't get really into the weeds of it, but it's more of it's a citywide program that's trying to be implemented. So I can't speak to specifically what may have changed, but yeah, we're just trying to a lot of other cities utilize the same ones that we're proposing. So yeah, it's not specific to downtown, but it's a citywide.
Right.
And there have been some technological changes as well, so.
I think before though, it was like civil rights sort of.
Right. And they now have their software on the back end or whatever, which guarantees that, there's no identifiable data unless there's a crime kind of thing. And I think that
Might be, yeah.
made a lot of people more relaxed about it because they didn't want them tracking them, things like that. So there actually are some changes, which is kind of nice.
Right. I had a question about foot patrol, my notes. So, I mean, I like the way, when we see, we have the presence, PD has a presence, but it's not overwhelming. It doesn't look like it's threatening. It just, while I see, oh yeah, there officer go, you can see it when we walk in the downtown for about an hour or so. But foot patrol, when is the foot patrol? I haven't seen, maybe I'm going the wrong time, in the daytime, they want to foot patrol on downtown? Or-
Yeah, really, we encourage it anytime you're available, but it all depends on what's happening and the time and availability. So I couldn't really give you a specific time. But business wise, right, ideally it'd be when businesses are open. Right, but also in the evening, because we want to prevent stuff that happens at 3 a.m. When a lot of commercial burglaries happen, where they're breaking into the businesses as opposed to stealing something when it's open. So foot patrol is always a good thing in your area, in your beat, in downtown, day or night. But it all just kind of depends on the timing and what's going on. So we definitely encourage it.
You don't want to be predictable.
Yeah, exactly, not exactly. But see, at one time when I was the downtown ambassador, I think an officer mentioned something like that kind of car, and this kind of people who bringing in their cars, they're using those kind of type of cars. Any ideas to what, if we walking by, what could we looking at,
We're always trying to identify trends, but trends come and go pretty quickly because once we find out about it, usually something will get switched. So a lot of times with the burglaries, it was targeting rental cars, which is still a big one, that they look for those rental cars because they know people are traveling with their belongings and leaving it in to stop real quick to grab a bite to eat or whatever the case may be. So that's, we tell people if you're having a rental car, that's one thing to be sure of, because these people who are targeting and doing the burglaries, they know one way or another. So whatever trend we can identify, we try to get on as quick as we can, but usually once we figure it out, then they know we figured out, and then it's the game of, so, but yeah.
We should have more secure trunks in rental cars.
Yeah, really.
Any more comments? Any comments from the member of public? Any questions?
We did have a hand raised. Oh, okay, hands raised again. So I'm going to,
We've got some real business to do too.
okay.
Hi, everyone. This is actually Wahid McGee with the Mountain View Police Department. I'm just monitoring, obviously, and watching and listening. And so if you'd like, I can answer some questions about Flock. I just want to make sure I took the opportunity to answer those questions because that is actually my project I've been spearheading. So I can answer, if that's okay. I want to make sure I'm following the proper procedure.
You're fine.
Flock is referring to the camera system that I was talking about.
I apologize.
Yeah, that's the name of the camera system that was going to council later this month citywide. And yeah, Captain McGee's the one that's heading that project.
Yeah, so May 28th, we're actually bringing the ALPR camera system to council to request approval to authorize Kimbra to go into contract with Flock. And so we're looking at currently 24 cameras. And so they are spread out. And if you monitor the city council meeting, or if you want to go back to the PSAB meeting that we had on the 24th of May, I believe, or it's 20, or no, correction, April 25th. It shows a map of the locations, which is basically covering areas that we have identified as kind of paths coming into town. And so this will be our pilot program for 1 year. And so I'm really excited about it because we've been pushing for this for years. And to answer another question, actually, we are one of the few cities left in the county that does not have flock. And so the only other cities that does not have flock right now is Sunnyvale. And I know they're hoping to get it. And so we don't know where they're at with that project. And then Cupertino, which is overseen by the sheriff's office. So they actually don't have their own police department. They just have not chose to fund any kind of ALPR camera systems.
And you guys share data, right? I mean, that's the whole purpose of having, multiple flocks, right? So that if someone went from Mountain View to Palo Alto or whatever,
Correct. And so it's the nice thing is that the chief has the authority to approve who has access, right? So it's not a blanket approval for everyone. And so it's a case by case. But the chief is hoping to obviously share our data because it widens our net and gets us access to the other cameras such as Los Altos, Palo Alto, and any other neighboring agency. Because as we all know, crime doesn't just start and stop in Mountain View. It's a regional thing. And so it will definitely help us in our investigations.
Fantastic.
Any questions for Captain? Thank you, Captain.
All right. Thanks for allowing me to jump in there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And great. Thank you very much for being here. Have a great day. We'll see you on the beach.
You don't have to leave.
Yeah, don't have to
It
leave.
sounds like you're throwing them out.
So moving on, we're moving to item number 7.3, downtown parking maintenance assessment district number 2, annual renewal.
All right.
And staff will provide an overview of the annual renewal.
Good morning, John Lang, Economic Vitality Manager. This is just a quick verbal update. Every year for the past 25 years, we have renewed the parking maintenance and operation district. So interesting thing about Mountain View is the original parking district was formed in 1958. So there was a vision a long time ago for creating basically public parking and making it available, recognizing the constraints of the building form. Over 20 years ago, Parking Assessment District number 2 was formed, which is basically a property tax assessment that collects funds from property owners as identified in this map on the screen, denoted by the dashed boundary. So property owners within that boundary pay an assessment, and the assessment is based upon a portion of how big your property is and how your property is being used. That assessment has been capped for the better part of 20 years. So for the last 24 years, $158,000 is collected from all of those property owners in total. And we're going back to council on May 14th to renew the parking assessment district. Once again, these funds go to supporting the operations and maintenance of the public parking supply. So within that map, you can also see we have public surface lots as well as 2 parking garages. And these funds go to support the maintenance and operation of that parking supply that's made available to the public. So we bring this forward to the downtown committee as an informational item. This item will be heard as a public hearing item at city council on May 14th. And all the property owners within the district have been notified of this public hearing. And that is my verbal comments.
Fine.
John, the assessment, is that adjusted for inflation or is it? So has anybody done an analysis or provided to council like the net present value of, or adjusted for inflation, what we were collecting 25 years ago versus what that is today. Either today it's only worth $15 in, 25-year ago value, or had it been adjusted for inflation, we'd be collecting $800,000.
So it's an excellent question, and it's one that the work of the parking strategy that council adopted in 2021 was one of the recommendations was to really look at modifying that. We know that the cost of maintaining many of those surface lots and parking garages is escalating much faster than the flat rate of what we're collecting. Because this is a property tax assessment, once you begin to open it up, the reality is those that are within that district could oppose any change.
Good.
And would most likely lead to a district maybe collapsing. So really looking at more holistically, how do we fund the long-term parking supply as far as creating a fund to actually maintain what we have. We also do collect funds to support new parking supply as different projects.
Like the parking and lieu fees.
Exactly.
Which is different than the assessment, right?
Exactly. So this has been one of those programs that's been around a long time, and there's always this conversation, should we evaluate it? But when you begin to open it up, the likelihood of people wanting to tax themselves more is a hard conversation to have.
And those same people all say, there's not enough parking.
As a resident of Villa and Bryant, I actually would not, I'm fine with the parking I have, and I don't need to invest more.
That's true.
I actually had that question. Are residential property owners also assessed the?
Some parcels are within the district that are residential. A vast majority are commercial-based businesses. There are a handful. So those that pay into the district, so those parcels that are within the district, those parcels can buy parking permits. If you have property outside the district, you cannot buy parking permits. The benefit of a parking permit is it does allow your vehicle in select parking lots to park there 8, 10, 12 hours and not be ticketed, because all of the parking in downtown is limited to 2-hour parking. So there is a benefit the benefit of being in the district is you are allowed to buy permits that can allow you to park longer than 2 hours.
But the disadvantage is even if you're a residential property owner, you have to pay the assessment.
Correct. But the assessment is based upon, once again, size of parcel
Right.
and the use. And so if we designate your use as housing, you're paying maybe $80 a year
Okay. Thank you.
in junk.
So John, one of the other things that's happening too, of course, is that some of our lots are going away with construction and all of that.
Correct.
So now that the supply is shrinking, is there talk about increasing the fees, decreasing the, I mean, what's kind of the balancing act there?
So, once again, in order to approve any rate change, any application change requires a vote of the district.
Right.
And so once again, the parking strategy really suggests coming out of this and implementing a new parking district, rethinking about the boundaries. So if I can trouble Amanda real quickly, one of the interesting things on the map, just to call out very specifically, if you look at Mercy Street and Castro Street, the boundary jogs, right?
Yeah.
So one
It's
of
outside
the
the boundary.
largest buildings in downtown, 444 Castro, who has many tenants, they're not in the parking district. And they can't participate in the parking program. That may have been a decision by that property owner a long time ago when the district was formed of, I'm not going to participate.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, they're trying to solve parking for their tenants and they can't participate in the program. So we have this push-pull that goes on. But the general consensus is if we begin to open up the rate structure, most likely people will not. A vast majority will not.
Of course, at some point, I mean, yes, $100,000 is $100,000, but you know, in buying power, it's, you know, nothing.
Diminishing.
So.
And what is the body that votes on, I mean, if you were, in the unlikely scenario, you were to open it up to a change, what is the body that votes on
It's
doing this?
all the assessees within that district.
Okay,
So
so.
So it
if you were
goes
to
to
expand it,
council
you'd
as a
include all
public
the new-
hearing,
Mhm.
but that public hearing is a vote, right? So we're basically saying we're opening up this public hearing, keeping the rates the same, keeping the effective structure the same. But people can come and protest that at that public hearing. But it's the assessees within that boundary that ultimately decide whether the district lives.
And how is that administered, that kind of vote?
So we notify all of the property owners within that boundary. This vote occurs at this point in time, and this is your chance to voice your
I see.
protest.
Is this an action item or is this just?
This is just an informational item, so the shorthand of this is we're going to council for this public hearing. Nothing's going to change for the 24th year in a row of this assessment.
Just like the BIA.
Well, I was gonna say, but we're very late.
But saying like segue to the 24 years when he said, I've seen this item coming to the downtown committee every year. And this is the first time we asked so many great questions, you know, I mean, it's fantastic in this part. And any question public might have, member of public?
Just a quick question, how was this communicated through email or?
Yes, letters went out. The letters go to the assessee, so we use the county assessor property information. So whatever people's mail to addresses are for their property is who got the letter. And that letter was sent over a month ago. Announcing.
For the record, we haven't received it, so that's why I'm curious, so.
I can follow up with you, but a letter did go out with describing how the assessment's done, showing the boundaries and the notice of the May 14th meeting. Happy to follow up.
Thank you. Wilson.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much. So I'll follow up with this in here, 7.4. Downtown committee work plan. Fiscal year 2024 and 25. And as required by the City Council Policy 823, the committee will prepare an annual work plan that will be submitted to council for review and approval for fall 2024. Staff seeks input to develop a work plan for fiscal year 2024-25. Staff will bring back the work plan from the discussion and input today for adoption at the next downtown committee meeting. Everybody has seen the plans attachment. So
Yes, thank you. So included both sort of a draft from this year's work plan and last year's approved work plan. Similar in a lot of ways, made some slight modifications based on things that have changed, like the economic vitality strategy. Added a little bit around public art and perhaps some discussion to happen around there, but really opening it up for any input and feedback as we prepare sort of the document to come back to you next month for final approval. You know, a lot of it is very sort of generalized information, and I think this gives us a lot of flexibility to be reactive as things come up. So there's some intentionality there. Yeah, Vice Chair Hesper.
I zoned out just a minute when you were talking about like visual arts committee and stuff. Because those are on this year's and like that and like having updates from the police department would seem like reasonable things to carry over. That there might be ongoing visual arts things also with the PD downtown crime stats, sort of that sort of stuff. I mean, it would seem that those should be carried over. And I was going to maybe suggest, the downtown, the business improvement district. It's not a secret that the chamber is sort of looking at that, and we might need, staff might say, that's great, but we can't do anything because council didn't let us do anything. So we might want to somehow acknowledge that the chamber might be exploring changes to the business improvement district. And we may need to be involved in that. And one last thing. What happened to busking, or is that, from staff's perspective, did that get rolled into the downtown
Economic
precise
vitality
plan, or the economic vitality issue?
And it's also listed on here too.
No, that was.
That's last year.
Oh, from last year,
Yeah,
okay.
this year, so.
So busking, there's two aspects to busking. One is it is incorporated into the economic vitality strategy. So that it's called out looking at it there. It's also an element that is being considered for the downtown precise plan update. So the issue on busking becomes, is it busking that we are trying to solve for just in downtown or citywide? If it's downtown, it should nest within the precise plan. If it's busking citywide, then that's a more of a lift of a zoning code
Right, okay.
update. But it is noted, certainly the committee has provided input and feedback on wanting to explore that. So we have some sample live tradition called live entertainment ordinances that pick up this concept of busking or entertainment, people dressing up in
Right.
costumes and stuff like that. This typically falls under that one.
Anything that would happen at San Antonio Center that's private property. So any sort of like busking ordinances, that's just a licensee issue of.
And just a note about the VAC piece, there, with a lot of interest in more art in the downtown. We had also discussed perhaps adding either 1 or twice a year update on sort of art and performing arts in the downtown, that might be something that could come before the committee, but just sort of general updates so that this committee can be tracking on work that's happening either through the Visual Arts Committee, the Performing Arts Center, private members of the community or nonprofit organizations. So that would be something I would add.
And we appreciate you keeping us posted what's going on with VSC and. Any other thing we want to add or? Great.
Members of the public?
From the public, member of public, yes.
And this will come back in.
This will come back next month. Yep.
That's faster than we done.
I know. Well, we're gonna end right on.
So, I mean, I'm not there yet, so we take a lot of time on item 8.
Right.
8. Committee staff comments, questions, committee report. No action will be taken on any questions raised by the committee at this time. So go ahead, please, any comments?
So Pamela must be doing a tour.
Yeah. I mean, no, the family would be out for 3 weeks, she on it. And I might be doing the tours. I'm not sure yet. Yeah. And but no, the only comment is that I mean, I come in here in downtown after every dinner and walking around, get involved with the cornholes and all that. I mean, it's not very crowded, normal weekdays, and it's still, it's very nice. Even the air is fresh, and it's a really nice, fun thing. I recommend that. But I've been talking to different businesses, like a few restaurants on Castro, and just see how businesses, and sometimes they surprise you. They say, "Yeah, well, we don't know, there's something going on here, and we had this we never have this many customers on Tuesday, but it was so full, it's packed up. So I think this is something business is picking up, somehow, because something going on in the city, and I think something going on in the Google campus. I saw a lot of tents and all these things. So I saw quite a few people with the tags on the other night and waiting for Uber, using our businesses too, so a lot of movement.
Yeah, we don't always get notification when there's a conference or something happening at one
Yeah.
of the larger companies, and that would be nice if they let us know so we could let our businesses know.
And they,
Just one thing to add, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't mention the Celebration of Leaders was happening a week from Friday, the 17th.
yeah.
And if you haven't gotten your tickets, there are still some available.
We-
Computer History Museum.
Going back to what you just said, it's sort of, especially you go into like the major airports or there's a major conference in town, there'll be like a big banner, welcome Comdex to
Right.
the Bay Area or something. Now, we don't have a convention center, so it'd really be like a private Google-y thing or something like that, but
The city campaigned the bollard for it, how about.
What we need is an interactive baller.
little LED.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So just a reminder that we can't have any discussion
There's
at
no
this point
discussion,
in the
right.
agenda.
So-
We can agendize LED bollards for next time if the committee
Great.
would desire that.
So any more comments? Any comments from member of public? No? Thank you very much. So we adjourn the committee at 9:33. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Janelle.